Tiger try to fight like a lion, he's going to lose because he's not as big as a lion. He doesn't have the same abilities, the same way of movement as a lion. So if he tries to fight like a lion, he has no chance. But yet the lion is a very excellent fighter in his own being, in his own right. But if the tiger begins to try to fight like a lion, what happens? The tiger loses ridiculously. But if the tiger could fight like himself and use his ability and his skills in the right, proper perspective against the lion, he might have a chance. Our scholars are arguing that we fight this European like him, that we use his degrees, his scholarship, his methodology, his philosophy, his theology, his sciences, that we use his science against him and then somehow we're going to be successful. But at the end of the day, we're not him. And nobody knows him better than he do. We can have some knowledge of our enemy, but your knowledge itself must be greater than the knowledge of your enemy. Did y'all hear what I just said?
That's right.
But they've been teaching that we have to know our enemy, and they put so much emphasis on that, that out of our knowledge of our enemy, we have seek to become him. And we have given up and forsake the spiritual powers that lie at the core of our own being and our own existence. And this is what we must get in tune with. So when it said we got away from our God, it wasn't talking about Yahweh. That's going to piss a lot of Hebrews off. It's going to piss a lot of Hebrews off. It was talking about our African spiritual selfhood. This is what they meant. We got away from our total, complete realization of who we are, and we no longer existed in that particular harmony. Inside of that harmonious existence was our weaponry. That was our martial art. That was our warfare. That was everything that we needed was embodied inside of that. And do you know what it came from? It didn't come from the walls in Kemet. It didn't come from the Bible, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, the Lotus Sutra. It didn't come from any of the holy books. It came from ourselves. That's a lot for people to chew on. Because we have been taught that our self is nothing. And that since we have to study self, which is very accurate, but the way they project we need to study self puts us outside of identifying self as self. Y'all want to hear what I just said? So now in studying self, we actually step outside of our body and we study an image of self. This is very superficial. We don't want to get spiritually rooted in who we are. We want to study a self of which we were told is us. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? We've been told that this other self is us, and now we read books and buy books on that. And this is supposed to complete the conquest of our knowledge of self. But we have been studying this information for years, and it has not worked for us to liberate us. Because the information we have studied is not the knowledge of self. It is a knowledge of self. It is not the knowledge of self, it is a knowledge of self. If we study our Moorish history, we have studied a knowledge of self. If we study the Hebrew Israelite information, we have studied a knowledge of ourselves. If we study the Nubian information, we have studied a knowledge of self. But self is infinite and very multidimensional. And the only way you can really come to know this self is to get inside of it and start feeling sure inside of it. And when you feel sure with yourself, then your DNA and your biology, because you're a spirit in a vehicle, in a vessel, and the vessel is an organic biological machine. So when you start to have this confidence with yourself, you're building a relationship with yourself start giving you information. Y'all know what I'm saying? It start letting stuff out.
Yes, it does.
When you really get in the machine and get comfortable and really fill it out, it start letting stuff out of it that you didn't even know what was in there. While you was in the bookstore looking for something, you didn't know it was already in the car that you was driving. While you was at the lectures and the seminars listening, you didn't know that it was already in your car, in the vehicle that you possessed. Because we didn't want to get that deep. And all of the teachers have forced us to get outside of ourselves to find this information. So we overlook the root of it. Because who we are as walking, moving, organic beings is consistent with every being that ever existed since the beginning of time. That source is consistent. Y'all hear what I'm saying? The books change. The authors change. The writing